Hello, 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 everybody. How are you doing? This is Shirley, and this is Shirley's Threadwork, and we are at Shirley's Wind Down Tuesday, and I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you, Jenny. Are you ready for me? Where's your libation? I hope you have it. If not, go get you some. Hi, Robin. How are you? And you said you're going to be a little late because of your grandson's soccer medal. Oh, congratulations. But don't worry about it. Whenever you show up, you'll show up. No big deal. We'll be here, I'm pretty sure. And Jenny, happy Wind Down Tuesday to you. And hello to everybody out there in YouTube land and Facebook land. Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. And also, I want to give a shout out and a thank you to everybody that will be watching the replay. I do appreciate that because I know we get a lot of people that unfortunately aren't able to participate in the live, but they can watch the replay. Now, if you are available, I would appreciate if you just hop on into the chat and participate and put your 2 cents in and all of that. It is always welcome. If you're new, no problem. Come on in, introduce yourself. You're going to get a big warm welcome. We welcome everybody and we look forward to meeting and greeting new people. So come on in. And Jenny, go get your glass of wine. You have time because I do like to wait a few minutes to give people enough time to come in before I get started with the presentation. So don't worry about it. Run and get your glass of wine, get yourself together, settle in, all of that. Hi, Baker. How you doing? Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Well, I tell you what, I'm hoping and hoping, hoping with all my fingers crossed, and you guys cross your fingers as well, that we do not have the technical difficulty tonight like we did last week. I still don't know what happened or why it happened or anything like that. I'm watching my bars for my internet and hopefully, like I said, everything will go fine tonight. It has in the past, but you never know. Sometimes things just get wonky and it's beyond my control. But I do, um, like I said, I do hope everything goes well tonight. Hi, Terry. How you doing? Thank you for stopping by. Terry is my daughter, so she's fresh back home off of her cruise. So I'm sure she had a wonderful, wonderful time. And she just stopped in to say hi. She doesn't embroider, but she does listen to us occasionally. So I do appreciate that. Hi, Jeanette. How are you? Baroka Sewing and Craft has joined us, everybody. So wish Jeanette uh, uh, welcome back from her trip in New York that she took a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure she had a wonderful time as well in New York. I have some trips coming up, but I haven't been anywhere but here trying to work. This week is a hectic week because unfortunately, I'm working all week this week because we have some surveys coming up and got to get everything in order. So, with that being said, I went to work yesterday. I went to work today. I'm going to work on my regular days on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. So, this will be a very full week for me this week. But the good thing about it is, well, I make more money. And the other good thing about it is, this is not something that is all the time. So it's no big deal going to work, other than the fact that I'm tired and I don't get a chance to get as much rest as I like to. But beyond that, everything else is okay. So, Jeanette, what did you do fun in New York while you were there? While we're waiting for a few more people to hop on, and just tell me, what did you do? And Tia, what did you do that's fun? You never did tell me about the Family Feud thing. Did you all do it? Did you participate? Did you win? What happened? Tell me what had happened. I'd like to hear about that. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah. Jeanette went to the Michael Jackson musical, and it was awesome, awesome. Michael Jackson is my favorite entertainer of all time, and yeah, I was so devastated when he passed away because I never really got a chance to see him live. I had one opportunity, got the tickets, he canceled because he got sick, and that was the last opportunity that I had to see him before he stopped touring. So unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do that. But I have always, always liked. Well, like is not even the right word. I have always loved Michael Jackson. He was so talented. Yes, and Terry said that they tried out and made it to the second round, but didn't make it to the. Oh, that's too bad. But at least you made it to the second round, so that was fun. That was fun. Yeah. And Jeanette, you said they played all his best hits and the dancing was great. I heard that the guy that if it's the same one that they've had for a while, that he is awesome. He looks like Michael, he dances like Michael, and all of that. So I'm pretty sure it was a very good play. Maybe one day I'll get a chance to see it before it goes off Broadway, or maybe um, a traveling ensemble would come this way. Hi, Marissa. How you doing? Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Okay, let me see. I think I spoke to everybody that's in here so far, and and Jeanette said that he did a great job. I'm sure he did. Hi, Linda Gray. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Tonight, I'm talking about a topic that I don't think a lot of people really touch on it. And I was just trying to think, as you guys know, of something interesting to talk about. And it just popped up about preserving the embroidery products that we make, the things that we make. So we're gonna relax, get something to sip on, and it's time to dive into something that hopefully is of interest to you guys. And tonight's topic is close to my heart because I'm looking at doing quilting and things like that. And that is changing a hobby to a legacy. And by doing that, you are preserving your embroidery for generations to come. Have any of you all thought about doing that? We all make beautiful, wonderful, lovely items, but have you thought about passing anything down? And if you have, do you own something that you have embroidered, or that your parent or grandparent or someone close to you has embroidered and passed down to you? Does anybody have anything like that? If you do, put that in the chat. Let's talk about it, because I know for me, I don't have anything specific that was embroidered and passed down to me. No one in my family did any kind of embroidery, not even hand embroidery. But my grandmother did knitting, and I have a couple of really beautiful afghans that she knitted, and I love that, and I was so glad to have it. So stop and think about it. Is there anything that has been handed down to you? I see, Jeanette, you said that you had dinner napkins handed down to you. I'm sure that is something that you cherish, and that's wonderful. I've not had any of that, but those afghans that I have that my grandmother did, I really do cherish those, and I love them. I don't really use them like I used to. I used to put them out on my bed. I used to put them on the back of my couch, but they've been in storage for so long, which is something else I'm going to talk about, that I haven't been able to pull them out and use them. But if you have something like that, it's something that you cherish. I know you do. And that's what we're going to talk about. Hi, Dimps Design. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. And hi, Becky. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. Um, So let's talk about why should you preserve your embroidery and why that matters. The reason that I think, based upon AI and the different research that I was doing, came up with three really important points to think about when you're thinking about making something and making something to preserve. First of all, it does have an emotional value. Something that is handmade carries the fingerprints of the makers and their creativity. Every time you see it, hopefully you'll think about that person that made it and gave it to you over the years. That is something that is important, and you can't get that from something that you purchase out of the store. You don't get that warm fuzzy feeling when someone makes something for you and gives it to you. It reminds me of Jeanette's Christmas in July and her Elster for the Christmas holiday, where we make things and we give them to other people, and it's something that you can cherish and say, somebody gave this to me, they made it for me specifically and they gave it to me. So that's the way, that's the feeling that you get when you pass something down to them. And do you have anything that you've thought about that you want to pass down? Think about that as we go on, because I want to discuss that a little bit. And so when you get something that someone has made and given it to you, it makes you think, it just makes you go back in history. You think about that person. If they're still here, you're able to continue to thank them. If they're no longer present with us, then you think about them even more, because you think about where you were in your life when you received this and what was going on. And even that person, you can visualize them and all of that. And if you happen to have been lucky enough to be present when they were making it, like with my grandmother, I didn't see her actually make the Afghan that she gave me, but I did get a chance to see her do some knitting. And I can remember her sitting on her couch and knitting. Also remember her trying to teach me. I didn't learn how to do that. So that's the emotional value that you get when you have something, and that, preserve something. So think about that. What are you making, throughout your career of embroidering? What are you making that you may want to pass down to somebody? Also, it has a cultural value. Many of the embroidery designs that we get has some cultural meaning, whether it be related to where you are initially from or your ancestors are from. Like for me, if I have something that has African print or something like that, that's something that's very special to me. If you have something that is related to perhaps the state that you were born in or the city that you were born in or where you grew up, that cultural, or some type of religion that you're affiliated with, or some club or organization, all of those things have a cultural value, and it's something that can be passed on um, at reunions and holidays and what have you. Sometimes you can, a lot of people have reunions and they make t-shirts. Are you doing any stitching on your t-shirt, any embroidering for your t-shirts for your reunion? And one thing that really sticks out to me, a cultural value, Leslie isn't on here yet, but Leslie has a absolutely gorgeous t-shirt quilt that she made, and all of the t-shirts that she has attached to her quilt are from different walks that she did and events that she participated in while she was in the military. And I know when she pulls that out, it gives her a great feeling. I would assume she'll probably pass that on down to her son or her grandson, because when she showed it to us, she went through shirt by shirt almost and just pretty much gave us the story of where those particular shirts came from. And a lot of people are doing what they call memory quilts. They're doing it either with t-shirts or flannel shirts or anything that belonged to that loved one that they had that may have passed on, and they put things together. They make memory pillows, all of those kinds of things. So you have those memories and that cultural value that goes along with it. And that moves us into the third thing, and that's historical value. Um, and that can reflect the material and the style of the things that you made during the period. Like, just think about it. What if you make something and people look back and say, oh, wow, this was made in the 20s, in 2020s, which is now. We're looking at it being passed down 50, 60, 80, even 100 years from now, and people can pull it out and say that was the trend, that was the fad, that was the best thing that was going on back during our lifetime now, but it has been passed down from generation. Just like we can look back at the things that may have been passed down to us. And of course, do not forget about the monetary value. The monetary value. If you make something of high quality, if it is well preserved, then that can definitely bring it where it has a high value, especially if it's rare, beautifully made, or part of a complete set. That will give its value. And I know we are making beautiful things. We are making sets of things. And if you're using good quality, that's a good reason to make sure you use good thread, good fabric, the correct stabilizer, all of those things, so it will last as time goes on. Year and years and years from now, if you pass it down to your children and your children's children, and on and on and on, at some point they'll be able to look at that and say, this piece is 100 years old, 80 years old. Look how well preserved it is. And because of that, the value of it would be extremely high if for some reason somebody chose to sell it. But I would hope they wouldn't, if it's something that has been passed down through the family, something that they would keep. But if they wanted to, they certainly could, and it could be something of value. So with that being said, if your embroidery could talk, this is a good question, and I want people to participate, and I want you to think about it, and I want you to put an answer in the chat, please. If your embroidery could talk to someone 100 years from now, what would it say about you? One piece of something that you have made that you could pass down, and 100 years from now, someone can get it and look at it. What would it say about you? Think about it and give me an answer if you don't mind. Hi, Claudette. I see people are saying hi to people coming in. Claudette, how are you? Let me see if anybody else came in that I didn't speak to. So go ahead and anybody put something in the chat and tell me, what do you think someone would say about your embroidery 100 years from now? I'm going to go ahead and be the first one to answer the question while all of you are coming up with an answer to this, because I know somebody's going to put an answer into this. For me, let me see. What would someone say about what I've embroidered? First of all, I got to think about what it is. I do have an idea of something that I've made that I really want to pass down. And I would say that the person that would have that would look at it 100 years from now and say that a lot of time and effort and love was put into putting this together, and that it was made to hold up to the test of time. That's what I'm hoping would be said about this piece. And I'll tell you before we go off air what my piece is that I hope to pass down, at least one piece that I've already made even though I do have some ideas about other pieces. So Jenny, you answered, and you said for you, you hope that they would say it was made with love. And I'm sure that that is what they're going to say when they look at the intricate details or how well it was put together, how well it was preserved. That's the most important part. How well it was preserved, that it looks probably just as good 100 years from now that it looks today. And I'm going to tell you some of the things that you can do to make that happen, make that a reality. But that's pretty good. Anybody else have a comment? What do you think it would say about you? People like to make quirky things, fun things, holiday things, all of those kinds of things. And if that is something that you make or you love making, and you want to pass something down, because I know you're thinking in your head right now, at least one thing. I want everybody that comes on here, including those of you that are watching from Facebook and YouTube, I have a channel. Put it in the comment. What is it that you've made or you plan to make that you really would like to pass down from generation to generation? And if you do pass it down, what do you want that to say about you? Think about it, because I know we spend a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of energy making things. Some of us just make things for the hobby of it. They don't necessarily make things to make money. We just want to learn how to make something really pretty, and we're really happy when we put it together and it's successful and all of that. Like the Social Society crew that meets with me every Wednesday night, we're not making anything to sell. We're making things for our own pleasure, making things basically for our own knowledge, because we're learning how to make things while we're having the camaraderie and the friendship development. So we make beautiful items, but we're not selling them. And I'm pretty sure some of the things that we're making may be something that somebody wants to pass down to somebody. So stop and think about that. So Claudette, you said that you would yours would probably say she thinks outside of the box, quirky and full of color. That's wonderful. That's beautiful, beautiful. And Faker, you said your mother made beautiful crochet blankets for all 6 of her children, and now that she has passed on, one of the most amazing gifts that she could ever give us is beautifully blessed by her hands. That is awesome. It is really awesome to be able to look back and have something that you can say, someone that loved me and I loved them made this with their own hands. It's just like seeing them again every time you see that item. And Becky, you said my bunch would say, what was she thinking? I have a queen size bedspread made out of 2-inch yo-yo. Took me a year, 2-inch, you say yo-yo, took you a year to make it. Strips. I'm getting a little confused on what the yo-yo is. But anyway, if it took you 2 years to put it together because of the 2-inch strips, I can imagine. But that is for a queen size bed. That took a lot of effort, a lot of time, and I am absolutely positive that it is absolutely beautiful, because I do know that you do beautiful work. So those are some of the things that you can think about that people may say 100 years from now, if they were to see something or have something that you made now in 2025. So also, let me say, and Faker said, wow, no, this is Jeanette said, my mom made me so many crochet bedspreads. I plan on passing them on to my granddaughter. That is if my son either settles down and have a granddaughter. It might end up being a grandson, Jeanette, you never know. I only got grandboys that my children produce. So I have great granddaughters. But all of my grandchildren are boys. I didn't get lucky enough to have a granddaughter. And Claudette said, "What?" That's what I said to my first attempt to quilting. And Jeanette said, "I'm okay with boys." Yes, they can be quite sweet, just like a girl. So, what is the enemy of longevity? In order to be able to have something that lasts for 100 years, 50 years even, you have to be sure that you take care of it. And that's the culprit. That's the bad guy. That's the things that will shorten your embroidery life faster than you can say bob and thread. And these are the ones. It's about 5 things that I discovered. Number one, light, like light, your light bulb, and fading. Sunlight is a culprit for your thread, for your items, your garments, everything. Sunlight, beautiful sunlight that we truly enjoy. But sunlight and even indoor lighting can bleach out colors over time. That's why they tell you not to have your thread up on your pegboard like we all love to have them. I had mine up for several years, and I finally decided to take thread and put it down in the drawer because I've been told from day one that they can fade and distort the colors and everything. And of course, the dust can make them dirty and everything like that. So leaving your thread out like that is not good for your embroidery projects. But sunlight and even indoor light can bleach out the colors. Just think about, some of you may have some wall hangings on the wall. Have you noticed that it has begun to fade? Have you thought about that? Have you looked at it to see if the colors are still the bright, beautiful, vibrant colors that they were when you first made the item and hung it up? 6 months later from now, your reds may be pink and your blues may be a very pale blue. So be careful with light. Light causes fading. It bleaches out your color. It can bleach out the fabric, and it also can definitely bleach out your color on your thread. Number 2 is humidity and mold. I remember there was a guy that used to come and follow me. He may still watch every once in a while. I haven't seen him in a while, but he lives in Florida. And he was talking about the humidity down there. And it's a lot of humidity in the air. But humidity and mold can cause damage, mildews, and spots to your garments, your items, all of those things. So be sure how you store your things, especially if it's something that you really want to preserve and pass on. Be careful of humidity because it does cause mold, because it gets too damp. And it's not so damp to the point that you can feel it being wet, but it's damp based upon the fact that it can get moldy. And you can smell it sometimes. That's why, have you ever been to maybe grandma's house or some other person that's a lot older and had this smell that people equate with old people? I know I have. And it's because of the dampness and mold that has accumulated on their things that they've had for so long, because it has not been properly stored, because nobody just, puts forth a lot of effort in preserving things. You just live day to day, but it does happen. That's why a lot of people will put things in cedar closets and things like that to preserve it, to keep it from getting that mold. And then they have a product. Uh, oh gosh, I can't think of the product. It's damp rid or something along that line. But the whole purpose of this product that you can put in your closet is to get rid of the dampness. I don't remember the exact name of the product. Let me see if I can pull that up. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, can you put it in the chat and so I can share it? Hmm. Come on, come on, come on. Give me a name. Damp rid. I had it right. Damp rid. DAMPRID. Damp rid is the name of the product. It's fragrant free. It is a moisture absorber, a moisture absorber. Yes, you're correct, Jenny. It is called damp red, and Amazon sells it, and they also have one that is simply okay. The thing that start acting stupid again is simply a moisture absorber that gets rid of it. So that is something that can be used to get rid of the dampness in your closets and everything to help preserve your garments and what have you. Um, And Jeanette said, thread does not last long enough on your wall to fade. How lucky you are. That's a lucky thing that it doesn't. Mine does. But anyway, damp rid is something that works really, really well to help get rid of the humidity. So you might want to invest in that, especially around something that you're trying to preserve. And number 3 are bugs. Silverfish and moth and even carpet beetles will snack on your natural fibers. Think of wool, cashmere, linen. I had a beautiful cashmere sweater. I decided one day I was going to invest in a real cashmere sweater. And obviously, I did not preserve it well enough. And one day I pulled it out and it had a big hole in it. And I was not happy. And I know it was because it, you know, some bug, a moth, a silverfish, whatever, things that you don't think about, things that you don't see, that gets into your closet, that comes through the concrete and the crevices and stuff that where they can get into your house and get into your things. So yes, be careful. You can ruin things, especially natural fibers, like I said, like wools and cotton. That's natural. Linens, that's natural. These are the things that the bugs like to eat on. And Faker, you said that if you place rice in fabric, you can also remove moisture in your closet and in your room. Okay, that is a good tip. Perhaps you could, that would be cheaper, I don't know, than buying the damp rid. I have to be honest, I've not tried it, so I can't even comment on the effectiveness of the product. I just remember seeing the commercials all the time, so I knew that there is a product that exists that is specifically made to get rid of the humidity and mold out of your closet and drawers and clothes places like that where it tends to have the moisture to develop. Number 4, acidic materials. And just think about old tissue paper. And have you ever wrap something in old tissue paper, just regular tissue paper, and years later it's yellow. Have you ever had that happen? I know I've had that happen. I've seen it. That's the acid breaking down the fibers. That's why if you've ever had a beautiful gown, like a wedding gown, a prom dress, some type of special occasion gown or item that you had taken to the cleaners and they would put them in these big boxes to preserve them and stuff, they have that acid-free tissue paper that they wrap it in and then the box and everything. And that's to preserve the color of it and the fabric so it doesn't get eaten by the moths and the silverfish and beetles and carpet beetles, and that it doesn't fade over time, because your whites will turn yellow. Your whites will no longer be yellow. Your beautiful, vibrant colors will fade and they won't be the same. And you can oftentimes pull things out. And yes, they have been eaten by a bug of some sort. So think about that. We talked about light and fading, humidity and mold, acidic materials like regular tissue paper, or any kind of paper that is not preserved, where the acid is out of it. And then the last one is improper cleaning. Bleach is not our friend. Harsh detergents weaken the fibers and cause fraying. Beautiful embroidered items need to be treated with care. I know, Jeanette, you're always expressing and emphasizing how you put the care for your product cards in with the things that you sell. I do that as well. And I got the tip from you. Thank you. And so people know, if you buy this product from me that I embroidered, that Jeanette embroidered, this is how you take care of it. This is how you make it last. Now, that goes for anything that has embroidery on it. A lot of people will just buy stuff and wear it and just dump it into the laundry with everything else, which, if that's what you want to do, that's okay. But what you're going to do is decrease the longevity of the product. It's not going to last you for years and years and years. If it's something like a t-shirt, like what I have on, and I have a little embroidery in mine, I really don't do anything special with my t-shirts because they're not expensive t-shirts. I don't expect for it to last me year in and year out because I make them all the time, and you switch up your t-shirts and you get rid of that and get you another load of t-shirts and stuff. But something that I'm putting embroidery beauty on the sleeves or the back or stuff like that, I take care of those. I don't just dump them into the laundry with everything else. I use a soft detergent. I put it on a delicate cycle. I hang it up or lay it out flat to dry. Those are the things that you do, because you want anything that I consider delicate, I treat it delicately so it doesn't ruin it. It's going to last. You made an investment in the clothes. You made an investment in the embroidery. So you do want it to last. So you need to take care of it. You just can't just dump it and walk away from it and expect for it to look beautiful all the time. Same thing with rhinestone. I've given rhinestone shirts and stuff to friends and relatives and what have you. I've made them to sell as well. And people have asked me, well, how do you care for it? Now, over time, you may lose one or two stones over time. But the best way to preserve your rhinestone, turn it inside out, turn your shirt or whatever garment it is inside out. You can wash it on a gentle cycle and then hang it and let it air dry. That's how I do it. And the rhinestones, I have shirts that I did at least 5 years ago when I first started doing it, and I haven't lost a stone. I have not lost the stone, and it's still bright and shiny like it was when I first did it. So if it's made correctly and is taken care of as far as keeping it clean, it will last you some time. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be a generation, but who knows? But you definitely want to at least try to make it last by taking care of it. So those are the things that you do to preserve your items. Now, a couple of more things that you have to think about. This is part of preserving it during the creation of it. What we talked about a minute or so ago was once it's been made. But during the creation time, it's very important that you use quality material. Quality material. If you use something cheap, it's going to be cheap. It's not going to last. If someone, and I'm not picking on you, Jeanette, but I watch you and I know you put this information out there a lot, and you talk to your customers that come in and you explain to them that this material is not gonna hold up for what you want it to be if it's not good quality material. And that's the same way with the things that we're making that we want to preserve, that we want to pass down. If we're making something that we want to last, then you can't go and get the cheapest fabric that you find and expect for that to last over time. Now, I'm not saying that you got to buy the most expensive material out there, but just look at your material and see what is the quality. How thick is the fabric? And when I say thick, I mean, can you hold it up and read a newspaper through it? Then that's some very thin paper. Well, it's like paper. It's some very thin material. That's not going to hold up, especially when you're talking about embroidering on it. Like with t-shirts. This is a t-shirt. It's a Gildan t-shirt. It is the regular t-shirt that they sell in Michael. And I like embroidering on it. It does very well. It holds up very well. Now, I tell you what I don't like to embroider on. I don't particularly like embroidering on Bella Canva, especially the ones that they sell in Michael's, because they're so thin. They're light and soft and everything, a lot softer than the Gildan, but that in itself makes it a little bit less stable as far as being able to hold up, in my opinion. But you also have to look at how you're hooping it and what your stabilizer is and what your thread is. That goes along with quality material, not just the fabric, but the thread as well. Polyester threads are more color fast than rayon. Cotton threads are beautiful, yes, but they do fade. We usually use cotton threads when we're working on quilts, which is interesting because quilts are the things that we expect to last for a long, long time. And a lot of people just use cotton thread for quilts. It's called quilting thread, and it's cotton. Now, I remember John Deere recommending rayon thread for freestanding lace versus polyester. But keep in mind, polyester threads hold the color longer than rayon. So that's a choice. I've done both. They both work well, but I don't know which will hold up. Excuse me, which one is going to hold up the longest. I have no way of knowing that. But just keep in mind, polyester thread is stronger and it's more fade resistant than the rayon thread or cotton thread. But it it's important that you choose the right thread. Pre-wash your fabrics. Now, this is what was recommended to remove the sizing and avoid further shrinkage that could possibly pucker with your stitches. Now, I have to be honest. I never pre-wash my garments. I don't pre-wash my fabric for quilting. You may want to check your label to see if it's been pre-shrunk. What is the potential for shrinkage? Then make a decision based upon that. Some products shrink more than other products. So keep that in mind when you are doing your embroidery. Make sure what you purchase, what you're making is going to stand up to the test of time when it comes to washing. Some things will naturally shrink a little bit. A small amount of shrinking is expected and usually won't cause too big of a damage. But if something shrinks a lot, it is definitely going to cause a problem. Now, Jeanette says, if you don't want to pre-wash the fabric, then you can scratch it. If you don't want to pre-wash the fabric, then you can scratch it. Or are you saying stretch it? I'm not sure what you're saying. So let me know what you're saying about that. And again, I don't pre-wash anything because I don't want it to look like it's been used. I don't pre-wash my fabric for the quilts that I've done. Starch. Thank you, Jeanette. She meant starch. So if you don't pre-wash your fabric, then you need to starch it, which that's what I do. Especially with quilts and cotton towels. Quilts, you can scratch it if the fabric is itchy. Quilts, well, quilts and fabric usually is cotton. And my cotton towels, those are the ones that I will use starch on prior to, and it helps. Also, the SF101, which is a really nice interfacing. It is an adhesive interfacing, and I love using that because it helps prevent the puckering as well. And I use it especially if I'm doing got that from Designed by Juju. She made us use SF101 with our Christmas tree skirts, and those things turned out absolutely gorgeous. Every panel, every piece, we used the SF101 on it, and I've been using it ever since. If it's something that I want to make sure it's not going to pucker, and this is not in the place of stabilizer, this is in addition to. It's kind of like how people use heat and bond for appliques. If I'm doing an applique, I don't use the SS101 on the applique piece. I do use my heat and bond. But if I'm using just regular cotton for the base, then I will use my SF, S as in Sam, F as in Frank, 101 interfacing. And I just bought a whole boat of it because I do use it a lot and I love it. And Jeanette said, what am I drinking? I am drinking, it's called Marco Negro wine, and it is a Moscato d'Asti. It's not my regular Stella Rosa that I always drink. This was given to me on my birthday, so I'm trying to finish up the bottle. And this wine was the wine that I used to drink all the time when I lived in St. Louis before I left. My scrapbooking group, we got together, and this was our main wine. And the more we drank, the more we scrapbook, and who knows what the scrapbook looks like. But this is Marco Negra, Marco, and Negra, Negra, I believe it is. And it is a Moscato d'Asti. And I love sweet wine. I love white wines and I love sweet wine. I don't do reds and I don't do dry wine. Gives me a headache. And Faker says, yummy, a glass, please. I got some more. Bring your glass over and I'll pour you some. I'll pour you some. So the pre-washing of the fabric is um, a personal decision. Like I said, for me, I don't pre-wash. I don't. And I haven't really had any issues with puckering or anything like that because I don't pre-wash. And I have used some of the towels that I sell, that particular product. And when I wash them, they look just as good as uh, before I wash them. The cotton ones, the one that's all cotton, not the weaves, but the ones that's just all cotton. Then you do a little iron over it or something like that, and it looks crisp and just like brand new. So I don't have any problem with it. Hi LP, how are you? And you said, what are some examples of the products you use the SF101 on? Um, I have used it on the back of practically everything that I cut out that I'm going to sew together, especially our Christmas tree skirt was the very first one that I did. I am doing a product now from Sweet Pea Embroidery, and did I use that? Yeah, I use SS101 on the back of those. Uh, almost anything I have. I am trying to think. Um, this this project right here. This is a Design by Juju product, and I used it here. And you can't. I mean, it's so thin that you really can't tell. I've used it on reading pillows that I've done. It's just a interfacing, and it's not like, I know when you're sewing and making shirts and collars and stuff and you use interfacing and stuff, it's not like that. It's not that kind of interfacing. It's just like an adhesive, a thin adhesive sheet of I can't say anything else other than interfacing, that just gives a little bit more stability to your fabric, makes your fabric easier to sew, to stitch, and it helps to cut down on the potential of puckering. And that's what I like about it. Designed by Juju, she recommends that for just about everything that you make that she designs. She'll tell you to put some SF101 on the back of it. And she's the one that got us started, because the group of people that come on our Wednesday night, the social society crew, we invest in SF101. Several of us have bought boats of it. And I just got my boat of the white one, and I'm going to go and get a boat of the black, so I won't run out. Because like I said, if I'm cutting something out that I'm going to make and I'm using cotton material, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to put the SF101 on the back of it. So everybody's drinking. So Jeanette is drinking her Cabernet Franc, and Jenny is drinking her Cabernet Sauvignon, and I'm drinking my Moscato d'Asti. And Leslie, you said you're drinking your white sweet Riesling wine. I like Riesling as well. So cheers to everybody that has a glass of wine. Cheers to you. Salute. And if you don't have a glass of wine, get a glass of pop, a glass of water, a glass of juice, a glass of whatever your preference is, a bottle of beer, it doesn't matter, and raise your glass to Shirley's Wine Down Tuesday, and we're having fun. And saying hi to Leslie, she just popped in. Becky just popped in. Robin popped in. So the crew is here. The crew is here. So also, watch your stitch density. Too much density can cause puckering over time, especially after multiple washing, and that is because of the shrinkage that you possibly can have. So be careful with your density. You need to make sure that your design fits your fabric. You cannot put a heavily stitched count on a very thin fabric. You're going to have an issue. It's going to pucker, and like John Deere likes to call it, armor. Because I have made some just to see how it's going to look, where you have 50, 60, 100,000 stitches on t-shirt. Now it's like, okay, what's that going to look like? It ain't going to look good. That's what it's going to look like. And then you need, if you're not using the right stabilizer as well. I rarely use any stabilizer other than no-show mesh. That's my go-to cutaway stabilizer, is the no-show mesh. That's what I use, especially when I'm doing t-shirts, because it keeps it soft. You see how I can just ball this up and you don't see the big old cut out where you cut it out and everything and all of that. And I had to learn that over time. The first time I ever did a t-shirt, it was so funny. I made it for a doctor's daughters, and I thought I was doing a good job. I'm doing embroidery, and I'm gonna do this for her just to kind of get my business out there so she could see what it looked like. And didn't know at the time it was a hot mess, because I used regular cutaway stabilizer with regular t-shirt, and you literally could see the box. And I didn't like it. And I was trying to figure out, why are they telling you to use this stabilizer when you can see it? With tearaway, you tear it away and you don't see it. But then they also said, if you wear it, don't tear it. So it's like, you got to use cutaway because you're going to wear it and wash it. But if you use the cutaway shows through your thin t-shirt. So what is the equal balance? And when I discovered the no-show mesh, it was on like popcorn. I have not left that since. So when I'm doing garments, 99% of the time, I tell you, I am using my no-show mesh. I have black, I have white, and I have a very little amount of beige because that's hard to find. But that's what I use with most of my garments that I make. Now, I do use the regular cutaway. I use the regular cutaway when appropriate. I use tearaway. I use sticky, and I also use the plastic stuff, the wash away stabilizer. Those are the ones that I use. But you use it appropriately based upon what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're making. Those are the main stabilizers that I use. Rarely do I use anything else. There's tons of different types of stabilizer, brands of stabilizer, and of course with your cutaway and your tearaway, but mostly cutaway, they have the medium, they have the heavy, and all of that kind of stuff. So you can decide how you want to deal with that. But for me, to keep it simple, as they say, kids, keep it simple, stupid, I just use the no-show mesh and I'm good. And Faker, you say you love no-show mesh? So do I. That's my go-to stabilizer when I'm doing any type of wearable garments. 99% of the time I'm using, even with my jackets and denims and stuff like that, I use no-show stabilizer. Every now and then, depending upon the quality of the garment, I may double my no-show. But I'm definitely using no-show stabilizer. Hi, LP. How are you? And hi, Carol. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. I missed you. So those are, I mentioned density. Too much density can cause puckering over time, and especially after multiple washing. And just like I said, that's because of the shrinkage. So make sure you're using the appropriate design with the fabric. And Embrilliance has a module called Density Repair. I don't have it yet. I keep saying I'm going to get it, but it is designed to help you correct a design if need be, to get rid of the unnecessary stitches. So if your design is a little bit too dense for what it is that you're trying to do, you could potentially reduce some of the stitching, and it still preserves the design itself. Therefore, you're not stitch heavy. And but you can just look at how many stitches is it requiring, and just look at your project advisor. If you have the wheel that we talked about, or if you have Embrilliance, they do have a project advisor in the toolbar at the top, where you can click on it and put in what what your fabric is and all of that, what your design is, and they'll tell you what fabric you should use, what the thread, the same thing that the embroidery compass does, that comes from dyeing, and it'll help you make a decision whether or not that design that you want to use is appropriate for the fabric that you are trying to do it on, because it's not always appropriate. And that'll help alleviate some of the too dense situation that you may be experiencing. And again, when we're trying to preserve something, we want it to look pretty. We want it to look as good as it can over time. We don't want it to be beautiful today and you wash it tomorrow and it looks a hot mess. We don't want that, because that's not showing good skill, embroidery skills. Because embroidery, as you know, is a talent and a skill that you learn, and it's sometimes trial and error, and there are rules. There are rules. You follow the rules of the experts, and usually you will not have an issue with your product as long as you're following the rules. And if you don't know the rules, then you watch me and Jeanette, and we'll let you know what they are to make sure you come out with a good product. So some things can be ruined just by how they are stored. We're still trying to keep, Carol said Shirley's rules. Shirley's rules. My rules have come from trial, error, experience, and expert advice. And I try to give you my knowledge from my experience. I've not been embroidering, decades. No, I have not. But I think I've been pretty successful with the items that I make. I'm still learning. I do not consider myself an expert. I do consider myself pretty well trained and skilled. But expert, I'm not going to put myself out there as an expert. But I try my best to follow the rules. And if you follow the rules of embroidery, and they're simple rules, usually your product is going to come out well. You're going to mess up, but that's how you learn. You're going to mess up. I've messed things up, and I said, oh, okay, don't do it like that anymore. You're stitching something, it didn't come out right, then you realize, oh, I needed more stabilizer. Or, I perfect example. I did the t-shirts for my daughter, the group, my daughter-in-law's son, my daughter, and family people took a cruise back in July, and they wanted me to make t-shirts for them, each individual name and everything. And I got these t-shirts from Where did I get the doggone t-shirts? Jiffy shirts, I think. And I usually get my shirts from All Day Shirts, but I got these from Jiffy Shirts. Kind of disappointed, to be honest about it. They were Gildan shirts, but they weren't the quality that I'm used to. They were a little thinner than that. And I was embroidering the names, and they were pretty large font that I used. And I noticed the first one had a little puckering. I was like, okay. Normally I don't get puckering when I'm stitching on the Gildan shirts. So I said, oh, I need to double my stabilizer. So I stopped, took that out, doubled it, did a little bit more, noticed a little bit pucker. So I said, okay, I need to put a topper on it. So when I put the topper on it, everything worked. So I doubled my stabilizer, my no-show stabilizer, plus I put a wash away topper on top of it and stitched, and it did what it was supposed to do. Why? Because I was dealing with a thinner shirt than normal, even though my font wasn't, in my opinion, that stitch heavy, but it was a big wording. Actually, it was like 2 words because they had crazy names and stuff. Anyway, but that's what I did. It's trial and error. I saw the mistake, and based upon the knowledge that I had about how to correct the mistake, I corrected the mistake. So it wasn't like I could keep going the way I normally do, like I did with the shirt that I have on, where I just put one piece of no-show mesh stabilizer on and went on about my business. I had to conform to the product that I had to make it work, so to turn out a beautiful product. And that's when I say rules. There's rules. You can certainly add. Even if you have it hooped already, you can take the bottom of it, turn it upside down, put another piece on there, tape it around, and put it back on and stitch. It's going to work. Or you can go like I ended up doing. I had the bottom part extra stabilizer. Then I went and put the wash away on top and stitch, and it worked. So you can do those kinds of things. That's what I mean when I say, there are rules to do, and there are ways to correct an issue if you have one. But, if you kind of know those things based upon what you've heard, read, and people have shown and told you, then a lot of times that you can salvage something that may end up being a problem. Because I had all those t-shirts. I'm not sending all the t-shirts back. Don't have time for that. So I had to figure out a way to use them and make it work. And that's what I did. So in order for your products to stay beautiful and not be ruined based upon how you store them, then it is recommended that you store large pieces flat when possible. So when possible, store them flat. Roll delicate items with lace or beading instead of folding those, so you don't crack the beadings and permanently crease your lace. So those should be rolled. Avoid plastic bags. They trap moisture. I know we like to put stuff in plastic to keep it clean. We don't want dust on it and stuff, so we wrap it in plastic, stick it in a plastic bag, zip it up, all of those kinds of things. But that is a big no-no because it traps moisture, and then you're going to get your mildew, you're going to get your fading, all of that kind of stuff because of the plastic. Be sure you use acid-free tissue paper between the folds when you fold them. And then be sure to store them in a cool, dry place. Not in the attic and not in your basement. Now, that is what is recommended. So, confession time. How many of you guys out here have plastic totes full of embroidery items. How many of you have your plastic totes full of embroidery items? Even your fabric and stuff that you're going to be using. We don't stop and think about the fact that those things are not good for our fabric or good for our items. But I know that's what we do. And I know we store them in garages, we store them in the attic, we store them in the basement because we have to put them where we have room for them. But in all honesty, those are probably the worst places that they can be stored. So you have to be smart. If you can, everybody's saying, I do me. Everybody is saying, I do. Me too. I do as well. Because like I said, where else you going to put them? Where else you going to put them? You're going to put them in a plastic bin and you're going to stick them wherever you can stick them. If that's the case and you're put in a position, and this is just me talking, it has nothing to do with what the experts are saying. But I'm just coming from a reality place. If we're going to store them that way, in those places, then try your best to fold them with the acid-free paper in between the folds. If it does have beading on it or lace, remember to roll them. Don't put them in a plastic bag and then stick them in the plastic container. That's a huge no-no. And make sure that we try our best to keep it in a cool, dry, temperature-controlled place. We all know temperature-controlled storage units are far better than those that are not temperature-controlled. Those things that are not temperature-controlled ruin everything. Not only your embroidery stuff, your furniture, your clothes, your shoes, your whatever you got in storage. I promise you, if it is in a non-temperature controlled environment, it is not being well taken care of, because it is exposed to the cold, the heat, maybe even get some dampness in there, whatever, some dust in there, some bugs in there, whatever the situation is. So you're not actually getting your stuff is not being stored correctly and properly and in a manner where it is going to pass down well. It's not. If it's furniture and stuff and it happens to have some glue, that glue is going to dry up and crack. Next thing you know, you got rickety chairs, rickety tables, you have fading of your beautiful wood, all of that stuff. I know that for a fact because I've had that happen to my stuff. I remember when I moved out of my house, I had some things in a non-temperature control because I had them in a garage where had moved to. And then the stuff that I had I wanted to keep that was nice and expensive, I honestly put it in temperature controlled storage. It had to be, because if I didn't, I know it was not going to last. It was not going to be protected. So, that's the only alternative that you can come up with if for some reason because I definitely won't say put them in boxes, because there goes your paper. So what other alternative do you have? They're plastic bins, true enough, but if you put them in there correctly, maybe they will last. And the biggest culprit is a plastic bag. And I know we are notorious for putting things in plastic because we want to keep them clean. But that is supposedly one of the worst things that you can do, is put them in plastic, because you're going to get that moisture issue. Now, we talked about damp rid. We talked about rice. Maybe putting those things in the plastic container will help. I don't know. I've never used those products, so I can't say yay or nay, but it certainly is a thought. It's a thought. So you might want to think about it and see if that's the option you want to choose. So cleaning and maintenance. When it comes time to clean, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, you need to be gentle. Hand wash in cool water with pH neutral soap if at all possible. I don't, but I do put it on a delicate cycle. Very few things do I hand wash, but I do use the delicate cycle. And depending upon what type of washing machine you may have, some of the newer models have a hand wash cycle, which is equivalent, I'm sure, to the delicate cycle that you can put your things on. And use gentle soap, the soap that you normally would buy to wash baby clothes with. Woolite, dripped, any of those things that that's meant for to be delicate to your fabric. Don't scrub. You're gonna, what that does to your clothes. It just really ruins the clothes. Spot clean by blotting. Spot clean by blotting. Blot that area as soon as you see it has a drop on it, a stain on it, whatever it is, blot. It's just like they tell you about your carpet. If you waste something on your carpet, whatever, you don't go get your carpet clean and start scrubbing and stuff. You blot that stuff. You get the wetness out of it, and then you use whatever carpet cleaning stuff you're going to do and just blot that area and try to pull that whatever it is that you waste or whatever up out of the carpet without going the back and forth scrubbing stuff, because usually that's when you're scrubbing it into the fibers and not lifting it out of the fibers. So keep that in mind. So spot clean by blotting, never scrub. Dry flat on a clean towel. Don't hang heavy pieces because gravity will distort them. So you hang something up and it ends up it's just like people tell you about hanging shirts up and you get that little pointed end on that from the hanger, especially if you're using, heaven forbid, wire hangers or any of those plastic hangers those hard that's not covered. I use the hangers that has that felt or whatever around it that keeps the corners and stuff soft. Those are the hangers that I use. I don't use plastic hangers, and I definitely don't use wire hangers. They do recommend more folding things over versus hanging, but dry flat on clean towel. Don't hang heavy pieces. And the flat really works the best. And then they suggest that once a year, you give all your stored pieces an air it out day to prevent the mildew. So that's basically letting it out of the container, stretching it out, and letting it air out and dry naturally. And then you can pack it back or whatever you want to do. And it is recommended that you do that at least once a year. And this is just for the cleaning and the maintenance, because we're trying to keep stuff to pass down generation to generation. And something that's going to be around beautiful for hundreds of years, or at least 50 years. I think I read somewhere if something is at least 50 years or older, is considered an antique. I'm an antique, but but seriously, I think that's what I read. If it's something that is 50 years or older, it can be considered an antique. And anything that is antique, usually, if it's taken care of, well preserved, and it has some quality, usually it does have monetary value. And you'll be surprised what things, the value of things. People sell things in garage sales, estate sales for a little of nothing. And then people buy it, pay $3 for it, $4, $5, and go and get it appraised. And it's hundreds or even thousands of dollars. and people just gave it away because they don't know the value of stuff. But if you got something that belonged to your mama, your grandmama, or whatever, get that thing appraised first, especially if it's in pristine condition. Look it up. You'd be surprised. I had to find that out the hard way because I know I got rid of a whole bunch of stuff that I considered junk that belonged to my grandmother. And I started watching these antique shows where they were doing the appraisal and stuff. And I saw so many items that my grandmother had that these people were selling and making good money off of it. I was like, oh my God, look at the money that I could have made off of these things when I just pitched them because they wasn't my style, wasn't what I liked. That's why we need to teach our children and our grandkids and our great-grandkids. Don't, and I tell my kids this all the time, and I hope my daughter's listening still. Don't get rid of my little knickknacks. I got statuettes and all kinds of stuff. Do not get rid of my stuff until you check out the value of them. They may not be your taste. They may not be your choice. But I guarantee you somewhere down the line, it has some monetary value where if you don't want to keep it for yourself or pass it on to anybody else, you might get a pretty penny off of it. You don't know. So keep that in mind because I know that's what happened with me and the things that my grandmother owned. And that's when I found out that things are considered antique if it's at least 50 years or older. And the older it is and in good shape, the better the value. Have you ever gone to any of these antique shops and looked at that stuff and how much they're selling them for? At least they used to. I haven't looked at one of those places in a long, long time. So since COVID and all that kind of stuff, I don't even know if these things exist anymore. But I used to look at antique shops and stuff like that, and it just blew me away with the cost of some of those things. And the mere thought that I had some of those things in my possession, and I did not appreciate the value of it. Hi, Pearl. How are you? You say you lost a day somewhere. You didn't realize it was Tuesday until a little while ago. Blame it on a senior moment. Don't worry about it. I have those quite often. So how you doing, Pearl? Thank you for stopping by. Evelyn, how you doing? Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. So just be mindful of those things as far as keeping your stuff. Passing the torch. If you want your embroidery to truly become a family treasure, you need to think about the story behind the item that you're going to pass down. It is recommended that you document your work, take photos, and write down who it's for, when, and why. And be sure to include the care instructions. So whatever it is, they don't toss it in the washer with jeans and what have you and ruin it if it's something that you're planning on passing down. Make sure they know the value of it. And when I say valuable, I'm talking about the emotional value, the cultural value, what we talked about at the very beginning, about the value of things, the historical value, all of that adds up to the monetary value. So that's part of the story. Share the story, write it down, tell some of your younger relatives, and maybe even teach somebody, else how to embroider and stuff so they can appreciate the skill, the craft. But telling somebody the story, what made you make this item? Did you make this specifically for that person? Did you, what did you go through to make it? What challenges did you have? And what made you love it so much and be so proud of it that you want to pass it down for other people to appreciate and enjoy? So make sure that you do that when you're passing the torch. That gives value to it. If a person knows the why the when, the how, they hopefully will come to appreciate the value of it. Now, I'm going to ask this question because we're been talking about passing something down, preserving it and passing it down generation. I asked it earlier. If you could leave one embroidered piece to someone, which one would it be and why? What do you have that you've made or you want to make that you can pass down to somebody and why? So think about it. And while you're thinking about it, I'm going to tell you my answer to that. And before I get there, there's a couple more people. Arlene Baker, how you doing? And Joyce, how you doing? Thank you for stopping by. The very first thing I thought about when I decided to talk about this topic, when they said, what is it that you want to pass down? And that is the Christmas tree skirt that we made a couple of Christmases ago, when we first got together as a social society crew and we worked together. And I mean, that may be obvious to most people, but it was something that the whole process is an experience that I won't forget, because we developed the camaraderie, we had fun. I mean, we worked on it together. There were nights that we were on the Zoom till 1 o'clock in the morning. We started at 7 and we would be there until 1 in the morning, stitching and laughing and talking and having a good time and sharing ideas. And oops, I messed this up, I got to start all over. All of that went into making that skirt, and it turned out absolutely gorgeous and is extremely well made. So when I made that, I said at that particular moment, it was something I wanted to pass down. That's what I have currently that I've made. And I would love to pass it down to my great-granddaughter, where she can have it for her family and then pass it on down. She's only 3. So that's already giving it some history by the time she gets old enough for me to give it to her, or my daughter, if I'm gone, give it to her, because that would be her granddaughter. And listen, Terry, it ain't yours, it's Olivia's. That's who I want to end up with it. Once she gets it, she can do what she wants with it. But hopefully she would keep it. But that's the one thing that I know for a fact that I want to pass down and hope it goes from generation to generation. The other thing that I've not made that I would hope that I can and will make, I would love, and you guys are going to laugh at me because I swore I was not going to get bitten by the bug, but I would like to make a quilt for my 3 kids, each one of them to have a quilt that I make. Now, I don't know how big that quilt going to be or what kind of quilt it's going to be, but I would like for them to have at least one quilt that their mother made for them. So those are the things that I want to be able to pass down, and would love for it to be something that would be something that it is passed down from generation to generation, especially and specifically that Christmas tree skirt. So Leslie, I think you were the first one that popped up. You said your t-shirt quilt, which I already talked about it to the group before you came on. And you said your t-shirt quilt and also the log fence quilt that you had sent to the long arm quilter for the first time, and then also the Christmas tree skirt too. So those are the things that Leslie would like to pass on, and I can understand that, because I have definitely seen the t-shirt quilt and the Christmas tree skirt, and they are beautiful and worthy of being passed on. And Evelyn, all your things are so absolutely gorgeous. You could pass on everything that you make. I just see your things on Facebook, and it just amazes me at your work. Your work is stunning. If anybody follows her, just see her work on Facebook. It's gorgeous. And you said, I made a baby set for my first granddaughter 28 years ago. Okay. She wore it to the hospital, and I sent it to her about a month ago, and she can save it. Oh, that is so sweet. That is so sweet. And I can imagine it is absolutely gorgeous. And Arlene, you said, I would like to make each one of my grandchildren a personalized blanket so that each time they would get it out, they would remember their grandma. That would be so sweet. Now, my great-granddaughter has at least 6 or 7 heirloom quilts that I made for her. Started on it before she was born. And I made layettes for everyone, and she had at least 4 of them in the beginning. So I know she's got 6 or 7 heirloom quilts. I would hope that she would keep, or her parents. So Terry, put that bug in your son's ear, would keep at least one of those as an heirloom for her to have when she gets grown, so she can say her Gigi made this for her. I hope. But that would be sweet. I would love that to happen. But definitely the Christmas tree skirt, when she gets older, I want her to have. And Robin, you said the Christmas tree skirt is something that you would pass down. And all of your quilts, I get it, because you make beautiful quilts as well. And Jenny, you said, I want to make a t-shirt quilt of all our marathon runs and hand it down to my son. Okay, so you and Leslie need to get together and talk about that. Perhaps you all can share notes and stuff, because that t-shirt quilt she has is absolutely gorgeous. And Pearl, you say you'll like to make a quilt. That would be great. And anybody else said anything about what they want to pass down? And I'm sure if you guys stop and think about it, because we make so many things. Oh, Carol, you said, not embroidery, but I have made scrap photo albums for each of my grandboys. Have one more to do for our 15-month-old. That is something that is going to be absolutely precious, because those are pictures, and they'll be able to look back and see how they looked and other people in their family looked over time and young. I have a lot of pictures, and I have a few scrapbooks, and I would want to get, I don't know how that's going to happen though, but I would like to scrapbook again, because I used to do it all the time, and I stopped doing it. And then I got into embroidery and all this other stuff, so I don't do scrapbooking anymore. But it's something that is relaxing about scrapbooking and fun to pull out old pictures and stuff and just put them in a story-like manner. I made one of my Hawaii trip, and that's my favorite one, because it definitely tells the story of that trip. And it is precious. It is precious. But I don't know if I pass that, particularly pass it down. The kids can get it and do what they want with it. But what I do want to pass down seriously is for them to have a quilt, and for my great-granddaughter to have that Christmas tree skirt. And Carol, you say you put all your scrapbook stuff in a tote when you started embroidering. Yep. Yeah, I know how that goes. And be careful with your pictures in that plastic tote as well. We can ruin our pictures as well. with all of the same thing that they say about your embroidery, they say the same thing about your pictures as well, because they can fade on you and crack and all of those things as well. And you have to make sure that everything is acid free and so forth and so on. So the exact same thing that they're telling us now about preserving our embroidery is the same thing that they have told us about us preserving our pictures as well. So thank you guys for sharing what it is that you want to pass down, because that's really something that is meaningful. And Jenny, you said the t-shirt I made had a few race for the cure breast cancer. Oh, this is Leslie talking to Jenny, was made for the breast cancer, cure for breast cancer, homeless walk and AIDS walk, and your church t-shirts and your time in the Army. It took you a while to make it, but you love the results. The results are great. And I knew all of that, Leslie, and I told them all of that before you came on, because I will never forget that quilt when you showed it to us and you walked us through it and you told us the history and the story behind it. And it's exactly what I was talking about as far as when I was saying tell the story, passing the torch. If you tell the story to your son, your grandson, the way you told it to us and showed them the value of that quilt, they will cherish that quilt and love it forever, because it's a big part of your life and who you are and the things that you've done. And that's one of the reasons why I not only want to do the Christmas skirt to pass down, I want to add on the quilt, because I know for me, since I am not a quilter and I'm trying to learn how to quilt, it's definitely going to have some stories behind it. It's going to have some stories behind it. And hopefully my kids, even though they're getting older, so I got to hurry up and make it, because I'm getting older too. But they can, wrap up in it and get warm and just say, Mom made this for me, and she made it out of love, and she learned how to quilt making this quilt for me. That's the beauty of it. And then, whatever happens from that point on happens. But it is definitely something that can be passed on. And quilts are expensive. They're expensive. And I personally would not make a quilt to sell, because I don't think my skill would be anywhere near that. And I know for me, it would take me way longer to make a quilt. Therefore, they couldn't pay me what it would be worth for all the time that I put into it and the sweat to make sure everything is cut out correctly and stuff. But people make good money off of quilts. Quilts are expensive, and I understand why now. I've always looked at beautiful quilts and saw the prices, and you kind of frown and say, oh my goodness, that's expensive. But then, when you get into the hobby yourself or into the skill yourself, and you realize all that it takes to do it, then you understand the price. Because I think all of us said that about our Christmas tree skirts when we got done with it. We pretty much said as a group, we couldn't make it to sell because no one would pay us what it's worth with all the time and energy that went into making it. We would be pricing it probably out of reach for most people where they would be willing to pay for it. And that's the reason why I'm assuming most of us that made the skirt that's on here now is saying that we would pass it down as an heirloom, because it's priceless. It's really priceless. It's a design by Juju design. And it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work. It was the first one we made. Now, if we were to do it again, I'm pretty sure we could do it in less time and it would not be as daunting of a chore as it was when we did it the first time, since we've done it already and we know what to do. But this very first one was a learning process for us, and it definitely made the project have more value to it, because it took a minute. It took a minute to make that skirt. Trust me, believe me, it took a minute. So Leslie, you say you recently got some plan. Okay, for the rag t-shirt quilt I will be making with the AccuQuilt dye. Good. We're both going to make a rag quilt. I'm not doing a rag quilt t-shirt quilt. I'm using flannel, and I'm going to make a flannel rag quilt, which may be one of the quilts that I make for one of my children. Not sure yet, because I might just make that one for myself. I don't know. But I know I don't want to do a t-shirt quilt, but I can see where it would be very, very, a very pretty quilt. So those are things that are on our radar to make as time goes on. So I think that's pretty much what I had. And Jenny says, show it to me tomorrow on our Social Society Zoom, please. Yeah, Leslie. Yeah, show the new people your stuff, because it is a really well made quilt, and it's very, very nice. All of the quilts that have been made by the people in the group are gorgeous. They do some good quilting. Robin has beautiful quilts. Deborah has made beautiful quilts. Danielle can whip up a quilt in 2 days. It's interesting how she'll get behind and she comes and catch up. So there's some good stitching that goes on. We may look like that we just chit chat and talk and not be very productive, but you'll be surprised at the end results once we're done, because we do work and we do produce, and the things are gorgeous. We'll chit chat, and then the next week we'll show, oh, look what I've done, and it's a beautiful thing that comes out of it. So we're working now for our next project, the Social Society Crew. We're working on individual projects, but they all have to be made from a design that we got from Sweet Pea Embroidery. That's a company out of Australia. And the reason it was chosen, because, well, two things. The day that we decided to come up with it, they were having their big sale, and I think everything was like at least 50% off. And their designs have always been kind of high. So the 50% sale was intriguing and enticing to get some of the things that we've been admiring and not buying. So I think several of us bought several designs, me included. And that's one reason. But the other reason is their designs are not your typical projects. They're challenging. They make you think, and it makes you learn, because it's not like something you can just whip up and just say, okay, here it is. It's a challenge to get those things together. You have to think about it in order for it to turn out correctly and turn out nice. And that's what I was, that's the whole premise of the crew, is to learn how to make things. Practically everything that we have made and shown, we've never done before. And therefore we wanted to do it, to learn how to do it. So that's the premise right there, not just to be making stuff to make them, but to actually grow in our skill. And not only is our skill improving our embroidery, it's improving our sewing skills as well, because several of the projects that we've made, not only are we embroidering things, we are putting them together by sewing. So we're learning both skills. We're improving those skills, and we do help each other out. So that's kind of the premise of the whole uh, group. And so that's what we're doing. So when we do our reveal next month, latter part of next month, um, everybody will be doing something different. I don't think anybody's doing the exact same thing, but they all will be something that was made from a design that we got from Sweet Pea Embroidery. And I had never used any of their things before, but I have always seen their designs and admired them because they're very colorful. That's the other thing that's intriguing about it. They're very colorful, but also they're very uh, intricate. That's why they're challenging, because there's lots of little pieces, and then you got to figure out how to put all them little pieces together and make it look nice, come out right. And it does make you use your thinking cap and improve your skills. And Carol said, great topics. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you all got something out of it. And Leslie, I made my mother a ceramic nativity set when you were stationed in Germany, and you have reinherited it when she passed on, as well as the set she used during your childhood. And you do value the heirloom items that you have, and that's wonderful. And that's the whole purpose of this conversation tonight, is to just think about the stuff that we put a lot of our time, energy, and effort into making. And a lot of us don't sell stuff. We just make stuff and we accumulate stuff. But what are we going to do with this stuff? And especially the ones that we put a lot of time and energy and we're very proud of it, we need to think about how to preserve it and pass it down and let somebody else enjoy it as well. Because I would love for whoever I leave behind to see the things that I've made and want to keep them and enjoy them as well, like I'm enjoying them. I would love for that to be the case, that they would want, the most of the items, not all the little knickknack stuff, but most of the items that I make, they would say, oh yeah, mom made this. Yeah, I remember she made this. Yeah, I'm going to keep this and I'm going to use it. Not just keep it, use it. Don't put it somewhere and let it collect dust and then hope somebody pass it down, they let it collect dust and all this stuff. Use it. Put it out. Enjoy it. That's the whole purpose of it. Put the thing under the tree. I put my skirt under the tree when the first year I made it, and it went under the tree last year, and it's going to go under the tree this year. I'm going to use that skirt probably every Christmas that I'm living, unless I make another one, which I probably make another skirt so I can put that one away, and because it's white, to make sure it doesn't get dirty. But yeah, use it. That's the whole purpose of it. You make it, it's beautiful, get some use out of it, and then pass it on. So you guys do not forget to give me a thumbs up. That's very important. As you all know, I always ask for a thumbs up. And also do not forget to hit the notification bell. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do subscribe. I'm still trying to get to that number. I'm moving in the right direction. The next time we have a giveaway is going to be when I have 2,500 people. And that can happen at any moment, but we need people to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell and give me the thumbs up and put comments in the comment section on my page, because all of those things go into the algorithm, as I said, and it promotes the channel, and it makes the channel go out to more people, and that's how the channel grows. So I really appreciate that. And then tell your friends and all of that so they can come and watch me as well. And also, do not forget to put requested topics in the comments as well. Whatever information that you may think of that you're interested in hearing more information about it, or what my thoughts are, what my experiences have been with certain topics or certain situation, please, put that in the chat now, or put it on my page in the comment if you think about it. And Jenny, you said you love this topic, heirlooms are precious. Well, thank you. I thought it was really an interesting topic when I was Googling and AIing and just trying to come up with stuff. And I said, oh, this sounds interesting, because I had always thought, like I said, when I made the Christmas tree skirt, that it was going to be something that I wanted to pass down. And so I said, how many people are doing that? Making things to pass down and preserving them and making them available, or even thinking about who you want to give it to. And most importantly, preserving it to the point where it will be in good shape to pass down. And because I know we have beautiful things, I know we have stuff that we've made that we really want other people to be able to enjoy and appreciate. Because all of us aren't just making, things to wear and all of that kind of stuff. We're making wall hangings and quilts and mug rugs and all kinds of different things, purses and totes and what have you. Excuse me. That you would like other people to enjoy as well. So that's what we should do. So with that being said, I think that's pretty much all that I have to say on this particular topic. I think it went pretty well. I think most of you enjoyed it. I hope all of you out there in YouTube land and Facebook land enjoyed it as well. And those of you that watch it, excuse me, watch the replay will enjoy it. And I'm so thankful that I was able to get through the 2-hour mark just about without this thing acting up. Glad of that, because I tell you, last week was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. Oh, I was so upset and disappointed with it messing up the way it did last week. So I'm so glad that didn't happen. I'm pretty confident it was the streaming platform that caused the issue. And I don't know why, but I did send a message to them, and it didn't mess up this week. So maybe that's what it was. I don't know. And Robin, you said you'll have to watch the replay because you had to come in late. Yeah, the replay will be out there for everybody to watch and everything like that. And like I said, don't forget to comment on it and to like it. Leslie says she'll have to see the beginning of the show where I talked about her t-shirt quilt. Yes, I did. I mentioned you, and I mentioned your quilt because I personally, since I've seen the quilt, felt like that would be something awesome to pass down because of how nice it is. So that's why I mentioned it, and I thought about it as an example of something that could be made and passed down from generation to generation. And it does tell the story. And that part, don't forget to add the story, because that gives more value to it. And it makes people appreciate the gift more if you tell them the story behind the gift. So don't forget to take your pictures, document everything, tell them the when, where, and how, of making it and why you want them to have it. And when you present it to, and if you have something now, which I just thought about, I am going to use my skirt again this year. But I think after this year, I'm going to go ahead and get it ready to preserve and, fold it, put it, with the non-acid paper and everything and put it away and put a note in there and tell my great granddaughter the why, the where, and the how, and the when, and just have it ready for her at some point so it doesn't get ruined. And while I can do it, while I can remember it, because the story part gives it as much value as the beauty of it. Just the whole story of how it was made, why it was made, and why you thought about that person that you're giving it to and thinking that they would be someone that could use it and enjoy it and appreciate it. And I think that would give it even more value where they would want to keep it and maybe even pass it down in their family. And that's where you get that uh, generation on generation on generation, where who knows, it could end up being something that is 100 years old, and people look at it and say, oh my goodness, my great 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 grandmother made this back in 2023, and look at what they used to do back then, how antiquated all of this stuff was. This is a beautiful antique. People don't do this kind of stuff anymore. This is when they had to work really, really hard to make something. It would be so funny because 100 years from now, there's no telling how what embroidery would be like and how it is done. I can't even begin to imagine what people will be doing um, with even embroidery is an old craft. It's been around for centuries. So I would think that it would continue to be around, but the process of it is what is going to change. And that is going to be what's going to be amazing. And to look at something that you made 100 years ago and say, oh my goodness, my has time changed. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Say good night to everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate it. See all of the people that are on the Zoom tomorrow night. And I pray that all and everybody have a wonderful rest of the week. And I will talk to you guys and see you guys to next week. And those that are on the Zoom group, the Social Society crew, I will see you guys tomorrow night. So take care. Good night.